You wake up tired, not because you didn't sleep, but because your mind never stopped. It kept running all night, replaying conversations, creating problems, thinking about things that haven't even happened yet. And the moment you open your eyes, it starts again. The noise, the pressure, the thoughts, one after another. You pick up your phone, hoping it will calm you down, but it doesn't. It just replaces one kind of noise with another, and deep down you feel it. That heaviness, that constant tension, like your mind is never quiet, like you're carrying something all the time, even when nothing is wrong. And maybe you've told yourself, I just need to relax, but the truth is, you don't even remember what real relaxation feels like anymore, because your mind has been in survival mode for so long that peace feels unfamiliar. And that's where most people are stuck. They think their problem is their life, their job, their situation, but it's not. It's their mind. It's the constant noise inside their head that never lets them rest, and until that changes, nothing else will ever feel enough. There was a man living in the United States. Fast-paced life, always busy, always connected, always chasing something. On the outside everything looked perfect. Stable income, nice apartment, a life people would call successful, but inside it was chaos. His mind was never still. Even when he was sitting alone his thoughts were racing. Work stress, future anxiety, past regrets. Everything mixed together into one constant stream of noise. He tried to fix it the way most people do, watching shows, scrolling endlessly, keeping himself distracted, because that's what we've been taught. If you feel uncomfortable, just distract yourself. But here's the truth. Distraction is not peace. It's just temporary escape. And the moment the distraction ends, the noise comes back even louder. And that's exactly what happened to him. Every time things got quiet, his mind got louder. It felt like he was trapped inside his own head. And no matter what he did, he couldn't escape it. Until one day something changed. Not because his life changed, but because he made a simple decision. He came home after a long, exhausting day, sat down on his couch, and didn't turn anything on. No TV, no music, no phone. Just silence. At first it felt uncomfortable. His mind immediately started attacking him. Thoughts came faster, louder, stronger, telling him to get up, do something, distract yourself. But for the first time he didn't react. He just sat there, watching his thoughts like an observer. Minutes passed. It felt like hours. But slowly something started to shift. The thoughts were still there, but they started losing their power. He wasn't reacting to them anymore. He wasn't following every thought into another thought. He was just watching them come and go. And in that moment something happened that hadn't happened in a long time. There was silence. Not complete silence, but enough to feel it. Enough to realize something important. His mind wasn't the problem. His reaction to it was, and that realization changed everything. And that realization changed everything. Because for the first time he understood that peace was never something he had to find outside. It was something he had been blocking from within. All this time he thought the problem was his life, his stress, his responsibilities. But the real problem was that he never gave his mind a moment to breathe. He never stopped. He never paused. He never allowed silence to exist. And because of that his mind stayed in a constant state of noise. From that day, he didn't try to fix everything at once. He didn't try to become a completely different person overnight. He simply started paying attention. He started noticing how often he reached for his phone without thinking, how quickly he escaped discomfort, how easily he avoided silence. And that awareness alone started changing him. The next morning, instead of grabbing his phone immediately, he paused, just for a few seconds. And in those few seconds he noticed how strong the urge was, how automatic it felt, like his body was moving without his permission. And that's when it hit him. Most of his actions weren't decisions. They were habits. Unconscious patterns repeated so many times that they became his default. He began interrupting those patterns, not perfectly, not consistently at first, but enough to create small breaks in his autopilot behavior. Instead of reacting instantly, he would pause. Instead of distracting himself, he would sit with the discomfort. And at first it felt strange, almost unbearable, because his mind wasn't used to it. Kept pushing him back toward the noise, toward the familiar, toward the easy escape. But he stayed. Days passed, and slowly he started noticing something different. His thoughts were still there, but they didn't control him the same way anymore. They came and went, but he didn't chase them. He didn't attach himself to every worry, every fear, every random idea that crossed his mind. He started creating distance between himself and his thoughts, and in that distance he found something powerful: control. He realized that not every thought deserves attention. Not every feeling needs to be solved. Not everything in your mind is urgent. And that changed the way he lived his life. At work, when stress hit, instead of immediately reacting, he paused, took a breath, observed what was happening inside him, and that simple act reduced the intensity. It gave him space to respond instead of react. At home, instead of filling every moment with noise, he allowed silence, even if it was just for a few minutes. And those few minutes became the most important part of his day, because that's where he reconnected with himself. He began to feel lighter, not because his problems disappeared, but because he stopped carrying them all the time. He stopped replaying the same thoughts over and over again. He stopped trying to control everything in his head, and instead he let things be. And that's what most people don't understand. Relaxation is not something you do. It's something you allow. It's the absence of resistance. The moment you stop fighting your thoughts, they start losing their grip on you. Most people are exhausted not because they are doing too much, but because they are thinking too much, overanalyzing, overreacting, overloading their mind with unnecessary noise, and then wondering why they feel drained all the time. The truth is, your mind was never designed to carry this much constant input, this much stimulation, this much pressure, and yet we keep feeding it more content, more information, more distraction, without ever giving it a chance to rest. And that's why even when you're physically still, mentally you feel tired, because your brain never gets a break. But the moment you start creating space, even small moments of silence, everything begins to shift. Your thoughts slow down, your awareness increases, your reactions become calmer, and life starts to feel different. Not because your circumstances changed, but because your experience of them did. He started realizing that peace was always available. It was just hidden under layers of noise, and the more he removed that noise, the clearer everything became. His decisions improved, his focus improved, his energy improved, not because he was trying harder, but because he was no longer scattered. And that's the paradox. The more you try to control everything in your mind, the more chaotic it becomes. But the moment you let go, the moment you stop forcing, everything starts settling on its own. And slowly, he became someone who was no longer controlled by his thoughts, but someone who could observe them, understand them, and choose how to respond. And that changed not just his mind, but his entire life. And that changed not just his mind, but his entire life, because for the first time he wasn't running away from himself anymore. He wasn't trying to escape his thoughts. He wasn't drowning in distractions just to feel okay. He was finally present, aware, in control. And that's something most people never experience. Not because it's impossible, but because they never stop long enough to allow it. Look at your own life. How many moments do you actually spend in silence? Real silence. Not scrolling, not watching, not listening to something. Just being with yourself. Most people can't even sit alone for 5 minutes without feeling uncomfortable. And that discomfort is exactly the problem, because the moment silence appears, your mind starts throwing everything at you: thoughts you've been avoiding, emotions you've been suppressing, questions you don't want to answer, and instead of facing it, you escape again, back to your phone, back to noise, back to distraction, and that cycle repeats every single day. But here's the truth: the peace you're looking for is hidden inside that discomfort, not outside of it, and the longer you avoid it, the longer you stay stuck. The man understood this, and instead of running away, he started leaning into it, not perfectly, not easily, but consistently. He allowed himself to sit in silence, to feel what he was feeling, to observe his mind without reacting, and slowly that discomfort started turning into clarity. He began to see his thoughts for what they really were, not facts, not reality, just mental activity, random patterns created by years of habit. And once he saw that, they lost their power, because you can't be controlled by something you understand. And that's when everything started making sense. His stress wasn't just from his work, it was from the way he was thinking about it. His anxiety wasn't just from the future, it was from the constant need to control it. His exhaustion wasn't just physical, it was mental, emotional, built from years of non-stop thinking without rest. And the moment he stopped feeding that cycle, everything began to change. His mind became calmer, his reactions became slower, his decisions became clearer, and for the first time in a long time, he felt something he had almost forgotten: peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from everything being perfect, but the kind that comes from being okay even when things are not. And that's what real relaxation is. It's not escaping your life, it's being fully present in it, without your mind constantly pulling you in different directions. Most people are waiting for their life to slow down before they relax, but it doesn't work like that. Life will always be busy, there will always be problems, responsibilities, pressure, but peace is not found in the absence of those things. It's found in how you experience them, and that comes from your mind. If your mind is calm, everything feels manageable. If your mind is chaotic, even small things feel overwhelming. So the question is not how do you change your life? The real question is how do you change your relationship with your mind? And the answer is simple, but not easy. You slow down, you create space, you stop reacting to everything, you allow silence to exist in your day, even if it's just for a few minutes, because that's where everything starts. You don't need to fix every thought. You don't need to control every feeling. You don't need to have everything figured out right now. You just need to pause, take a breath, and let your mind rest. Because the truth is, your mind is not meant to be constantly active. It's meant to have moments of stillness, moments where it can reset, recover, and return to clarity. And if you never give it that, you will always feel overwhelmed, no matter how perfect your life looks from the outside. So stop waiting for the perfect moment to relax. Stop telling yourself you'll do it later, because later never comes. It always stays the same: busy, distracted, noisy. Unless you decide to change it right now. Start small. Sit in silence for a few minutes. Notice your thoughts. Don't fight them. Don't follow them. Just observe, and slowly you'll start noticing a shift. Not instantly, not dramatically, but enough to feel it, enough to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. And that realization is freedom, because once you understand that, you stop being controlled by every little thing happening in your mind. You stop reacting automatically, you start choosing. And that's where real control begins. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, stressed, constantly thinking, understand this: you don't need more distraction, you don't need more escape, you need less noise, less input, less chaos, and more awareness, more stillness, more presence. And once you start doing that, even in small amounts, your entire experience of life begins to change. Things feel lighter, clearer, more real, and for the first time, you feel like you're actually living, not just surviving. And if this made you realize something, don't ignore it, because this is one of those rare moments where you actually stop and think, where you actually see what's been happening inside your own mind. So take action right now, not tomorrow, not later, right now. Hit that like button as a commitment to give your mind the rest it deserves. Subscribe, because this channel is not for distraction, it's for people who want control over their life. And before you leave, look at the next video on your screen, because this is not where it ends, this is where it begins. That next video will take you deeper. It will help you build on what you just realized. So don't break this moment. Don't go back to noise. Don't go back to autopilot. Click that video and keep moving forward. And comment, "I choose peace," because the moment you say it, you're not just watching anymore, you're deciding.